I've been talking a lot lately about Newberg and D'Aquili's idea of cognitive operators, and it is an idea with with severe limitations, I think. But what I do like about it is its simplicity. It's very, very easy to understand, which might mean it's completely wrong, of course, but that's, in a sense that doesn't really matter. How I'm conceiving it right now, and this is just a kind of little metaphor that helps me to understand it in my way, in a way that's appropriate to my level of intelligence. It isn't terribly hard today. I'm kind of imagining these cognitive operators in the brain as kind of like a graphic equaliser, or like the lighting boards you get at theatre and rock concerts and things. A panel of sliders, say between 7 and 10 sliders, that can go up to 10 and down to 0. And each of those sliders corresponds to a different cognitive operation that's made upon sensory data. So there's one that corresponds to the binary operator that separates things into two opposing or complementary parts. There's one that corresponds to the holistic operator, which joins things together into a unity. One corresponds to the reductive operator, which breaks things up into independent elements. So if that one's set quite high, lots and lots of fragmentation goes on, and deconstructive analysis goes on. If it's set low, less of that goes on. One for causal operator, one for quantitative, and so on. And one for existential, of course, which is the one that makes things appear real or not. So I'm kind of imagining this little switchboard with these sliders, one for each operation. I'm sort of secondarily imagining that these sliders are kind of set to a default level. That this experience I'm having right now is you're just kind of wandering along the side of the canal looking at stuff. There's a kind of default position for those. Maybe they're all set at 6.5 or something, all these sliders. Which means that everything seems real. The world is breaking down into bite-sized components of an appropriate size. The kind of categorization process, which is part of that reductive holistic scale, allows the world to make sense in particular ways. All those kind of things, and to the extent that I don't even notice they're happening, it's completely normal cognitive operations are going on. But I can imagine that circumstances tweaking those sliders are causing different kinds of experience, which we might categorize as different kinds of knowing, or forming different epistemologies, if you like. So, for example, if I can imagine walking along here, and I push the holistic operator up to max, take the reductive operator down a wee bit, maybe reduce the binary operator, and then push up the existential operator as far as it'll go, what would happen in that situation is that the world around me would suddenly become kind of united and holistic. I would start to see everything connected as part of a single undivided unity, including my own experience. I wouldn't see things as divided into opposites or complementary pairs, like black and white, good or bad. I would see those things as, again, as aspects of a single unity. And because the existential operator is set to max, I would also experience that as being kind of more real than real, that way of being, that perception, as being even more real than the reality I'm walking around in. So that whole thing, to me, sounds a bit like that kind of absolute unity of being that is talked about in various metaphysical and mystical circles. And contrasting with that, I can imagine other settings on this imaginary graphic equaliser as producing different kinds of experiences, different kinds of ways of knowing, different kinds of epistemological experiences.